Welcome to the Vocal Dental Nurses with your hosts, Kate and Shelly.
Good morning, Shelly.
Good morning, Kate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, my lovely. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Shelly and I are here again to chew the fat. How's your morning been so far, Shelly?
Standard school run, Tesco, washing. I feel like I've done a full day and it's only 10 o'clock.
And how many phone calls or emails have you had from work?
Oh, well, yes, lots. Yes, ill children. Someone hasn't got childcare for this afternoon. It's just ping, 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 ping. Yeah.
Nightmare. See, day in the life of a dental nurse, stroke mother.
Absolutely.
Right. Apart from talking about the obvious, which we're obviously going to come on to, I was talking to a couple of the practice teams the end of last week, straight at the beginning of this week, and surprisingly, some of them are still struggling with getting some consumables through. How are you guys finding that?
The same, really. It's weird though what goes off and then what comes back on. What was it this week? I couldn't mouthwash tablets. Could not get hold of mouthwash tablets for love nor money. So in the end, ended up WhatsApping our rep directly and was like, "I'm desperate. Can you source any?" And she managed to find 2 tubs of mouthwash tablets to send us up. But it's just random stuff. What did I go to order this week? Oil for the handpieces. I mean, we've got a DAC machine, so we don't have to oil and put through the autoclave, but because we're so busy and the DAC only holds, well, ours is broken as well at the moment, so it's only holding 5 handpieces, we're having to shove a lot through the autoclave, but oil, couldn't get hold of any oil. It's weird, the stuff that goes off and then comes back on.
And are you finding that not the same is coming back on? So, for example, if you were looking for the mouthwash tablets, are you finding that you can't get what you normally have? Have you got to have something as a duplicate?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we were finding that with drape packs, with some of the companies. They're doing fantastic work, don't get me wrong. They're still sending drape packs out, but basically you sort of have to have what you're given, as in it might not be bespoke to what you normally have. It is a matter of, this is what we've got on the shelf, and this will have to do. So, as we said last week, that's 2 years on, nearly 2 years on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I think a lot of it, when I've spoken to our rep, she sort of said that a lot of it is to do with sort of Brexit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
100%. Do you know what, though? I mean, listen to what you just said then right at the beginning, being, I know that the job of ordering can go to any member of the team. I know that nearly always. I think it's fair to say that it will go to a nurse, head nurse, whatever, one of the dental nursing team. Look at that relationship that the nurses build up with some of the reps, that you've been able to contact them direct off your own goodwill with them, the relationships. Dental nurses, we've said it so many times, they are worth their weight in gold. And when they can build up a relationship like that with the reps that get you, hopefully what you want, it says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're obviously very busy people as well, aren't they? You can imagine how often their phones are pinging, especially when people like me are texting them, "Please get hold of this for us, we're desperate." So for them to remember to process everything as well, I always think is quite a...
it is.
Because they're just juggling that many plates, aren't they?
Well, of course they are. I mean, if something isn't there, it isn't there, don't get me wrong. But when you have got that lovely relationship from, your dental team, be it, like I said, a dental nurse with that said rep, it is, look how it's helping you.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
100%.
No, we've got a couple that we get on well with, and they always try and do their best for us.
Yeah, well, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? If you have got that good relationship, then you remain a loyal customer to them.
Absolutely.
And vice versa, if they look after you, it makes you want to stay, doesn't it?
Although he's had me printing off all the invoices recently because he can't understand why we're spending as much money as we are. So, yes, I happily sat and printed them all off and said, here you go.
It's because you're selling mouthwash tablets on the black market.
I did say to him, I'm not, buying it and selling it on eBay. But there's stuff on there. I'll say to him, well, what's this? This is £400. I haven't ordered this. And he'll look at it and say, oh, yeah, I ordered that. Of course you did. Of course you did.
So there you are, head dental nurse, stroke accountant, stroke the principal in order. Your job role as a dental nurse has just expanded, Shelley.
Tell me about it. It covers a whole multitude of sins.
But then we know that he couldn't manage without you. We know this.
I like to think so. I tell him often enough anyway.
Good girl.
He's reminded on an almost daily basis.
I should think so. Has there been any other news this week? Do you think we should mention?
So, yes, the vaccines, obviously.
Yeah.
Very touchy subject, and we're not going to get sort of too political about it and opinionated about it, but we've got 2 of our staff members that were not keen to have the vaccine. One of them had said all the way through, once we started dishing out the letters way back, I don't know if it was end of November, beginning of December, to start the process of, if you don't get this done, potentially you are going to lose your job. And she told us from the get-go that she would book in, she'd get it done. She didn't, she hadn't. And then, bless her, I went to work Monday and she came in and said to me, I'm going for my vaccine tonight. And like I just said to you, Kate, off the record, I said to her, do you think it might be wiser to book it for later in the week, being as he's going to make an announcement later today?
Yeah.
So bless her, thank goodness for her. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's completely up to her as an individual and as a dental nurse. She didn't go and have it done. But I know from what one of the other girls told me that day was that it made her feel sick all day, that potentially she was having to go that night and have something that she really didn't want to have just to keep her job.
Yeah.
And then the second girl was adamant all the way through that she definitely wasn't having it. It's caused so much upset for her over the last couple of... And we don't want to lose anybody. We really... respect and appreciate the work that our girls do. We've got a good, solid team of 13 nurses. We don't want to lose any of them. And it's been so horrible to see them. I mean, the one that she's been so upset about it, she really has. And sometimes she stood in front of me and I could feel myself getting emotional about it because why should she have to? We've worked all the way through. She's a young girl. She lives a very holistic lifestyle anyway.
I bet the atmosphere's changed, hasn't it, over these last few days?
It has. But then the girl that didn't want it, when I went in Tuesday morning and I sort of went in, like punching the air and she smiled, but she said, I feel so upset for the people that have been forced to go and have it done. I just can't stop thinking about those people. And she said, and I can't stop thinking about all the care home workers that lost their jobs.
Do you know what? And this is something you and I have spoke about before, isn't it? And I mean, again, I'm not saying that it's our opinion at all, but I can see why your lovely nurse would say that, because for those that were in a position or weren't in a position, I suppose I should say, to actually consider not having it, as in, the fear of losing their job, if they're not living at home and they have bills, etc., etc., and they had to go and have, as other clinicians did, the other dental clinicians as well, and they had to go and have the injection and the vaccination, and now this has been brought in. I can understand why she'd say that. I really can.
And that just shows that her as a person, that's one of the reasons we wouldn't want to lose her, because she's so thoughtful about other people.
Yeah.
And what they're going through.
Yeah. So, she wasn't actually swinging from the lampshade screaming,
No. No, not at all. She was still quite to the point where I was a bit like, come on now, chin up. We'll monitor the situation and we'll see where it takes us. But I think we're going to be okay. And she just said, I just feel so sad for the other people.
Do you know what? It's going to be interesting, really, because I imagine, and I certainly know it isn't your practice, but I can imagine within some of the practices it could have caused a little friction. And
absolutely.
You can't do that. And again, I'm not saying that it's wrong or right, because everybody's entitled to their opinions and nobody can tell you that that's wrong or right. But I would imagine it's going to leave some sort of different feeling within the teams with how individuals might have dealt with this,
Absolutely, because we were due to have a meeting with our two girls that didn't want it on Monday afternoon. And I took them, went and hand delivered them to whichever surgery they were working on Monday to say we're going to postpone today's meeting because we didn't see the point in causing any more further upset or stress if in a couple of hours' time we were going to find out that because talks were starting to get serious, we were coming up to the point of there is nothing here for you. If you are not working as a dental nurse, you are going to have to go.
Yeah, I know. And for those that have potentially already had the conversations, let's say last Wednesday, for argument's sake, it can leave some bad
awkward,
taste.
very, very awkward.
Yeah, awkward. Yeah, and very, very hard because as a practice owner, principal, it's not what they've wanted.
No.
But they've got to deal with what's in front of them. And if you potentially were going to be a team member down or team members down, that's letting your other team down as well because of the pressure it would put on them. So it's it's been a funny old difficult time, hasn't it? But hopefully things. So do you think what's your thoughts? Do you think it'll stay that it's not mandatory? Do you think this is just a little respite and in 3 months' time?
I don't know. I don't see how. I think it'll stay not mandatory now because I don't see how he's been forced to back down 4 days before it was due to come in. To me, that's going to have fueled people. If he does try and push it through again, it's just going to fuel people on again to stand up and say no. And they've brought him, they've stopped him once, they can stop him again. Well, you like to think so. I think he, without getting too political and into all the, what ifs, and I don't think they'll try and push it through again. In fact, I was shocked because there was rumblings a week or so before, and they'd gone down and lots of NHS workers had gone down to London and done protests, and I felt then it was all being mentioned in the BDA, and I thought, this could potentially they're not going to do this. And then he stood up and said, no, we're still going to push it through. So we were like, right back to the, back, because that weekend we'd gone in after the protests, and the one girl that really didn't want it was quite buoyed up. She was like, I think they're going to stop it. Then, of course, he stood up and said, no, we're going to push it through. So it sort of knocked her down again. Yeah. And that's what she said as well. She said the drain on her mental energy. And this is a massive thing these days. Looking after people's mental health is a huge responsibility, and it's serious. You can get into serious complications if you're not seen to be looking after your staff's well-being and mental health. And that's one thing she mentioned Monday. She said, I'm so up and down with it all. I just feel I'm just drained.
Well, I mean, let's just say that on Monday it was the opposite, and it's remaining mandatory. It is going to be mandatory. Then, as you've just said, this individual, bless her, particularly, and others out there, what that would do to them. But then equally, with it being overturned anyway, she's had, as others have, an absolutely roller coaster.
She has, since November. We've been she's known that potentially since November she could potentially lose her job.
Yeah, she doesn't want the vaccine. She's got her own reasons for it, so she's tackling that. The thought that she's going to lose her job, she's got to tackle that. The friendships and everything she's built up within your team, she's going to lose that. That's just 3 things,
Yeah.
you know, so mentally it must and still be horrible, because, you know, I do wonder, you know, bless her, in the back of her head and others, if they're thinking, will this stay?
Yeah.
Will this stay? So yes, the mental health of a lot of people, and I still bring it back to, you know, the practice owners as well. What, you know, they have enough to deal with as well on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So to have that threat of potentially losing 1, 2, 3, however many members of your team, I mean, for them mentally, it must have been terrible. Absolutely. Terrible. But we are where we are.
We are where we are, thank goodness. So yes, I'm quite pleased that it didn't go. I mean, I've been jabbed. I've had all 3 of mine, but that was my choice, and I didn't mind having it done. But I don't, you know, it's up to other people, and it's their choice. And I totally feel that they should not be forced into having something that they don't want. It's just
I agree.
It's not okay.
No, absolutely not. And for those that had it, that didn't want it, you know, we've said, and our hearts, I really do go out for folk like that. Just hope it's a bit of a smoother ride for everybody now. Everybody needs to move on.
Yes.
And,
yes, absolutely. And that's what I hope happens now. I hope he doesn't sort of leave us hanging, that he might try and push it through again. I think they just need to close the door on it, if that's what they're going to do. We need a firm line drawn under it, sweep it under the carpet, and try and repair some bridges and move on, move past it.
I agree. I totally agree. Absolutely agree. Should we get off our soapbox now?
Let's get off the soapbox, because I can feel myself getting, you know, it's been an awful time. It really has. It's been awful.
Yeah. For all the team members, I do agree, for all the team members that have been looking after each other and trying to pick those up that have been worried about not having it. So it's the whole team. The whole team's
absolutely
within the practices have gone through this, even if they've, like you've said, even if they've had the vaccination, much like you, that hasn't stopped you going through seeing one of your colleagues so upset. So yeah, it's a whole team thing. But then that's why dental nurses are so fantastic, because they look after their team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think on that note, that's a good way to finish today.
Finish on a high. That's it.
Finish on a high. Absolutely, absolutely. It goes without saying, Shelly and I have always said it, you know, please don't be shy. Come and have a chit chat with us. We know there's a couple of you that want to come on. You're just sorting some dates out, so that's fantastic. But come on, get a voice. Dental nurses, you need to be heard. You're an asset to the dental team. So please hop on, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you, Kate.
Speak soon.
Will do. Bye.
Bye.